If you haven't done so already, you can check out my deck profile for my week 1 deck against Nexus Celestrals, aka Magic Moolah, linked down the description below, as well as up in a card above right now. But with that being said though, let's get right into the match. So starting with the die roll here, decide who goes first. I rolled a 6, I know it rolled off camera, but Moolah got a 3, so I'll be on the play here, choosing to do so. I just want to establish counter runes first so I can start reacting to Moolah right away, as well as just getting a body on board. So starting off, I cast Molestation in defense. Big body, going to be really hard for Moolah to get over. Also baits out the Sorlet so I can try to answer it. With some back row, that means I can probably protect my Molestation and try to hit over the Sorlet now. Moolah says 2 back row and sets Aramir in defense. And I decide to PTA just because it is in defense, it's not doing anything. I can just get it off the board. And I do actually question this play later because I can just switch Molestation to attack, switch his attack and defense and try to pressure. But I just didn't really want to give Moolah multiple Leshra's on board. Here I end up expending to draw, I think wanting to save some tools like Galaxy to not aggress. I'm not quite sure what Moolah's on, so I keep Molestation in defense just to protect it. And he ends up going Veritaka, which is very scary here. A good read, at least I have the Gorgon's Gaze, that's the other reason I was happy about it, but a good information gathering moment for me here to know that I should probably be switching stuff to attack and trying to pressure it that way. So stopping them, the Veritaka here, keeping my Molestation around because it is one of my best answers to the Veritaka as well. Because actually at this point, I don't think I have Galaxy really in my hand. And we see here, I cast Foamy to try to, not necessarily pressure the Veritaka, I think I'm trying to do that with Molestation. And by having Foamy attack, that means that I will be able, if Moolah hits over it, be able to flow into something else and try to disrupt plays. So here, flip Molestation's attack and defense, run over that Veritaka and hit him for 1 with Foamy. I am at quite a big spirit deficit, 5 spirits, but I do have 2 on board, so really it's more like a 3 spirit deficit, but I have board control, which is huge. Moolah ends up throwing at the Pelaquarius to search out an Celestial, and I can understand that here, even though I can answer it, it does force me to use another expend, while he does grab a Sluggle here to stall it, so I was right on the Sluggle read, and here it really looks like he's on possibly a good stuff deck, mixing in the Sluggle to recover some, and speaking of Sluggle, I do use my own here, just because it's pretty much Molestation, get over the Pelaquarius or bust, so I figure why not recover some here, especially since I expend again just to hit over the Pelaquarius, as I guess Moolah kind of expected by throwing in defense, and I gets hidden for 2 more, so definitely have closed that spirit gap now, 13 to 14, but I have 3 spirits on board, so really it's like 16 to 14 as well. So Moolah casting out that Veritaka now because it can't hit over the Foamy. I do expend 1 for Molestation because I do want to try to keep it around as just the big attacker. I don't think I've found a Galaxy yet, or a Smoltuga or Nekruff. Here Moolah decides to go Trident, which I find interesting. Is he setting up a Trident lock here? Because that's actually kind of scary. Still can't hit over the Molestation, but can start wreaking some havoc elsewhere as well. And if he has a counter rune, good counter rune, which he has 2 face down to support it, that's going to be scary. Here he ends up casting Altar of Stars to Nexus 1 from the Trident to switch Molestation to defense to finally deal with it and get over that 6 attack. I think it is worth noting, and this just shows that the ECL can be a big learning experience for anyone. Moolah could have used one of the spirits from the Trident to cast Altar and then Nexus the other spirit, and that would have saved him 1 spirit in the deck as well. So definitely a better, more optimal play over there. Moolah and I discussed it afterwards, and he was happy to know that now as well. I end up casting a Foamy, so now it's down to 1 attack, and he casts Poison Tipped Arrow. So the Veritaka is a bit scary, but I see an out here. I just crashed that Foamy that's affected by Poison Tipped Arrow anyway, and dies, and I can just cast a Galaxy, and what that means is the Veritaka was now at 1 attack, while my Foamy is now at 3, and Sluggle's at 2 anyway. So I can now just take out the Veritaka with ease and hit him for 1 spirit of damage. Moolah doesn't need to use the PTA now. Arguably, I could have left up the Foamy, but it just made sense to get the float anyway. Like, I could have got another spirit out, but I've got board presence, so not too big of a concern on my part. So he ends up going the Ambrosia to recover 3 into a Sluggle to recover 3. So really beefing up his spirit deck yet again, but that Sluggle's not really competing with much. Arguably here, I do think that crashing into the Sluggle to keep me off an Celestial would have been the most beneficial here, but it is a really hard position to be in. The Smoltuga lets me search out Nekruff, so now I've got a really strong pressure piece. I can now just attack over the Sluggle with ease, force 3 more spirits of damage, and it's not looking that great for Moolah, unfortunately. Being behind with no counter runes on board, I've got 4 Leshrals up on, and he ends up expending to draw. I don't know what out he was trying to dig for there, but at the same time, what else can you do to really get rid of this board? Probably start chipping away at the pieces that you can. So here, I just count my spirits, decide to expend to draw just to dig a bit more, just have more options in hand to leverage my board presence and being ahead in case Moolah can grab something back, maybe like a surprise Pantera. That's kind of scary. Would love to have a Restaurant of Laurels for that. But I end up paying in for 4. Moolah's at 4. He finally finds the Sorlet to start pressuring my tools. And here, I believe he can just switch the Galaxy as well to attack over it. And I believe, forget what he just tries to attack here, I believe is over the Foamy, or no, the Sluggle, and I just shield it, and that's pretty much game one here. Mula really can't answer it at all. He does end up showing me his hand, so I've got a better idea that he is on the Exaltair, but considering for proper match rules, I ended up just siding into game two without that knowledge, just expecting maybe he's just on a good stuff variant that might not be having Exaltair. But let's get into game two now. So getting into game two here, Mula decides to be on the play. And pretty much what I sided out, I assumed that it was more of like a stall good stuff style deck. So I ended up, I believe, switching out a shield for a PTA. And I ended up just siding out my 2 eruptions. I believe for the rest, oh gosh, what was it? I start off with a Nog here. I'm trying to remember what I sided in. I don't think it really comes up. But yep, just cast Nog, draw 2, throw out Mostation. I can start pressuring the Sorlet. Does end up getting PTA'd, but due to how the stat modifiers are applied, Mostation can still easily hit over Sorlet, and I think it's just worth keeping him off bodies as well. Just in general, like, let's get some use out of this Mostation while it's here anyway. So, and plus, this is getting rid of 3 of Mula Spirits and 2 of his cards. Seems like a pretty favorable trade in my favor, and with some counter runes to back it up, also feels pretty good. Still trying to remember what cards I sided. I know I sided out the 2 Eruption, and I believe I did side in 1 PTA. I might have sided in the Veritaqua. I think that's what I actually replaced him with to put on some extra pressure. Going for a try on Veritaqua. Not sure why he did that here either. He ends up just passing anyway to not run into shield, which fair. I kind of expected him to throw down a Poseidon and start aggressing, but here it just enables my resting on my laurels just to out that Veritaqua here. So now I can just cast an Celestial with Foamy pretty good here because it can pressure, and it's going to be difficult for Mula to answer it without floating it to something else, getting me a body on board, so just being able to chip away at 1. So now it's actually still a very, very close game, but he has to expend to draw here, and that hurts a lot. So here I end up going Sluggle, recovering 3 spirits, putting me back up at, was it 16 spirits? So just a huge spirit differential here at this point. Like, we went from very close to now me clearly being the lead in both spirits and presence on board. Mula decides to shield the Foamy just to kind of keep him off some bodies on board. And I can understand that to try to grab backboard state, that the shield makes a lot of sense, but it expends to draw again. And he tries to play the Peliquarius here, but oh no, it wasn't expend to draw. What was that there? I think it was expend for the Foamy, or expend for the Sluggle attack, and then he goes into Peliquarius. I think it just went really fast through there. So yeah, he does have a play here, just kind of digging out that Sluggle, try to stall a bit more, can attack over the Sluggle, and go from there. So here, I end up having a Galaxy here, so I can start pressuring back this Peliquarius, kind of control the board, but I'm still had so many spirits that it's going to be a bit rough, and playing the Sluggle here just to kind of beef up the spirit deck, but doesn't help too much here because it doesn't really answer the Galaxy, which is definitely a bit rough. So ends up recovering 3 spirits back, and then just pretty much passing it over to me again. So here on my play, I believe I can cast out like a Sluggle, recover some, keep spirit differential, but I just throw out Foamy again. No reason not to. It's at 3 attack. I can pressure the Sluggle, and this way, even if Mula has a shield, I can still just get rid of the body on board anyway. Bit scared. I don't think he's on Capricorn right now, especially since he's been enchanting those Aeromares with Wind, but and seems to have more of a good stuff deck that's just kind of teched out for what I'm running as well, but still don't really want to risk it, and plus I want to get in some spirit damage. So here I'm up 2 Elestrals, I'm up 5 spirits in spirit deck. Just curious what is Mula holding on to that he is trying to use, and he goes Exaltair. And yes, I did know what it was, but in all fairness, I didn't want to play around it since I technically wasn't supposed to know it if we were playing more official match rules. I end up PTAing it, so even if he tries to burn me, I just get rid of it. That's the whole goal. Just get rid of that thing. I don't want to see it on board, and thankfully I'm so far ahead on board that I can do just that. So here, Mula's just deciding what to do. He's at 1 attack, and he just has to pass. I expend, get rid of that Exaltair, and it's back over to me. And here, I try to decide to expend 1 to draw. I guess I really didn't have any more Elestrals in hand, so just poking him for 2. So this does give Mula a chance to try to come back, but it's at the same time, it's still a 5 spirit deficit. He does have some back road, though, so it's not impossible, but has to expend to draw again. And he plays out the Exaltair, forgetting that he just expended to draw, and that's what I was confusing with earlier, that he did that. And here, I end up going Nekruff, I find the Elestral, and here he does have PTA for Nekruff, but that just kind of closes out the game anyway, because I hit him for 3, he expends 1, and he's just like, okay, yeah, yeah, that's GG here. So I end up getting, taking this match, and rough hand here, he's got the Chrysaor, he got the wrong pig to control, and 2 altars, which isn't very helpful, but I do end up taking the game against Mula 2-0. So I remember what I sided now after looking back at my deck list. I cut the 2 eruptions, as I said, but I also cut a Pandora's box because I decided not to go with the knowledge that I saw Exaltair instead, thinking it's just a water good stuff deck, which Pandora's Box would not have been as useful for. So I decided those out to round off my playsets of Foamy, PTA, and Shield, with the logic being Foamy's really good into that long, drawn-out stall game. It can be an annoying piece to try to answer if it gets attacked over. As you saw earlier, I crashed it to get stuff out, just that tutoring's really strong. And then the PTA and Shield, I figured just rounding off my counter runes to have 12 total, felt really good in this matchup because if I'm starting to fall behind, it helps me get caught up, and if I'm ahead, it helps me secure my board state, which it definitely did happen in game 2. But I had a lot of fun in this match, and I know Mula did as well, even though he said his deck really did frustrate him as he didn't find Sorlet until the end of game 1, where it really didn't help, and never found an Aeolus to get that Exaltair started, and I totally get the frustration there. I can't remember if he remembered you could misenchant a artifact rune to be able to initiate Exaltair's Nexus, but at the same time, I don't think it really mattered there in the late game when I had that PTA as well. But to his credit, he definitely was on what I was most scared of, that being the Exaltair. But I do find it interesting, it seemed like he saw a lot of like good cards that go into water, such as Veritako being able to crash, Aramare for the big stats, and we did see the Chrysler in his hand at the end there. And then other stuff such as Sluggle, which I totally expected to bring, being scared of my eruptions, which he did comment in the game about those eruptions. So it really seemed like he also brought a good stuff deck, and I'm really interested about that because I wouldn't think Exaltair pairs very kindly into that. So I would be curious with more playtesting optimization if that was the right call and if it would have ended up working and just variance really got in the way of Mula being able to perform this week. But now I want to hear from you all. In game 1, I cast PTA on a defensive cast Aramare on Mula's first turn, and I want to know, do you all think that was the right or wrong play? Because I'm not convinced. It definitely worked out in my favor, but I still had the Mustachio to attack over it and could have saved the PTA for something like that Veritako, which was very scary and threatening on subsequent turns and forced me to use on Gorgon's Gaze as well. So I was running out of answers, and that really scared me in the moment. So I want to hear your all's opinion. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you're notified when I do upload more content, including ECL content. And speaking of ECL content, I have Mula's channel linked down in the description below so you can check out his perspective of the game as well as commentary and any other videos he decides to upload about it, as well as every other caster who's taking part in the ECL2. All their channels linked down in the description below, along with my ECL2 playlist where you can find all ECL content, deck profiles, my announcement videos, you name it. It'll be all put in there as I upload those videos, so you can definitely check that out if you're interested. But with that being said though, look forward to more content coming out real soon.